Hey everyone, time again for Legends and Lore. This is season 2 and episode 5, coming back from GaryCon. And with me, as usual, is.
This is Mike. It's
Yeah. hmm
been a fun last week, hasn't it?
Yeah, did you get snowed in on the way? Or like snowstorm and
No,
stuff?
no, nothing happened.
Ah,
I
we,
mean,
yeah.
got away before anything happened.
Yeah, we drove back to through Wisconsin and up towards Minnesota and through Minnesota, and I flew back from Minneapolis, and I'd never seen that many cars being out in nature
Oh,
everywhere,
so
left and
everybody
right.
freaked out. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's a shame.
Oh, we
But
have Gary. Hi. Awesome to see
yeah,
you on again. Perfect. Yep.
good timing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we had I had a blast. It was a good con. It was my second Gary con and way better than last year. I felt much more at home and I knew more what to expect and stuff. So that was kind of fun. Yep.
Yeah, we're building upon the show slowly,
Yep.
or
Mm-hmm.
building upon the con. I mean,
Yep.
uh, yeah. Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah. So what's your kind of highlights or what were the
Alex.
best things for you at the personally, so to speak, at the con before we get into the juicy bits?
I want to give some more people some time to filter in,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
since it's kind of early and
Yeah.
Gary's, I guess, the only one camping on this.
Yep.
But,
So
first,
this.
I
Yeah.
want to mention, sorry, Anna.
Oh, that
First
was.
thing
Go on. Mhm.
is it was early March. The weather was kind of nasty. But next year they have Gary Con pushed back to late March. So I'm
Yes.
hoping
Mm-hmm.
that's going to improve things.
Yep. At least we will have no slush and stuff. Oh, we have Carlos. Hi, Carlos. Yep. Wonderful. Yep. And he that will be some cool notes. I don't know how much we can actually kind of how much I can divulge, but we'll see later because there's some cool stuff. Yeah. So this this is really cool. Yep.
Well, Carlos, of course, was there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Carlos and
Uh,
Amanda, they ran
there's
some
David's.
awesome games
Now,
and whole
now
bunch of
we're
stuff.
now they're rolling in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's perfect. Yep.
uh,
So at least I'm settled back here in California, and it's sunny
yeah,
again, and there's no snow around, and temperatures are at least up in the 60s. So it's kind of, yeah. So I'm defrosted from being in deep freeze for a week, but it's.
now, what day did you leave?
I left on Saturday night because we were afraid of being snowed in or whatever. So we left and spent Sunday to Saturday to Sunday in Madison. So we at least got like that first
Okay.
100 miles done on our trip back. So yeah, just in case so we had more time because there was like this few inches of sludge and snowy and whatnot on the way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Just for those watching, I went up on me and my friend Jason went up on Thursday, and then we left Friday night. So
Yeah.
we were there maybe 24 hours,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I was there from
And
from
I feel
Wednesday night to
yeah.
Saturday night, so or Saturday late afternoon. So yeah,
And if we had come sooner, we might have got in on Carlos's game.
yes, I got in on that game, and it was one of the highlights, and it
Right?
was actually the only gaming I did at GaryCon. I'm not much for gaming at conventions. I want to socialize and listen
Yeah,
to
I was going to say
seminars and
I
stuff.
have not gamed
Yeah, but it
all
was yeah.
since that.
hmm it was fantastic game as usual. Carlos is an amazing
Yeah,
DM, and I rarely I get to play in first edition games. I kind of felt like I left that edition long time ago, but I must say that that style of adventure to play in it's awesome, and especially done by someone who knows the setting that well. It was kind of
yeah,
amazing. It was a lot of problem solving, a lot of kind of make cool things, and we were very unlucky in our rolls for quite a while. We rolled low and we screwed up everything, but somehow we managed to make some good tactical decisions, and then we got some good coming in. And I'm not so so sure if I can now after the convention I can probably say so. But we killed her. We got Marquesa. We killed her. Yes, we
So
did.
how
So
many Marquesas did that take?
we went for hopefully with the real one. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll yeah. So
Then
hopefully we got to the real one. So now there's just a bunch of copies to kill too.
until he
So
resurrects her.
yep. Yep. So yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, but it
uh,
was fun, and there will be a little island that was that was actually that Carlos named that will now be named on the next edition of my map. Yeah.
oh,
In the Woolly Bay, there's a small island that will be named and put in for the next edition. So yep.
well now, hey,
Yep. Yep.
no, I wonder now because Carlos, you ran these
hmm
adventures now for a while at the
Yeah.
convention.
I think
Or
it's like three or
it's,
four different Marquesa ones and stuff.
and he generally gets the same players for these. Moreau Point, cool.
Yep.
So he generally gets the same people to play in these adventures and reprise their characters and whatnot. So I'm just wondering if the more he writes these, the more he's tailor making them towards the players in his head. That's
Yeah,
what I'm.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I didn't play the same character I did last time, so I played a
Ah,
druid this time. That was real fun, and that was yeah with a cool set of spells and stuff. So it was really yeah, it was we 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 were kind of a very diverse party, and it was kind of it was fun. Yep.
well, we've already got our plans for next year, and we're going to come up on this time. We're going to come up on Wednesday,
Uh-huh.
right? So we're not going to miss out on any Wednesday game.
Are you going
And
to stay at the Lake Geneva resort?
we're going to be at that one place, Timberlake, I think,
Oh, okay.
nearby.
Yeah.
So we'll be close by.
Yeah.
We're going to do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then come back Saturday just
Yeah.
because of real life. But uh, yeah, yes, it does. I'm sure it does feel like an extended campaign. That's why everyone looks forward to that.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, next year we purposefully, are planning to more time there to get some gaming in and maybe sign up for whatever, and of course do another seminar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, let's
Yep.
see.
So that was the evening, the first evening we got there. We played in Carlo's game. It was a lot of fun. It was a little bit impromptu. People sat on chairs or whatever, and there was a little bit of drawing on the floor, and it was a lot of fun. So yep.
uh, there's Amanda. How you doing, Amanda? Good to see you again.
Hi. Yep.
Uh,
So then we had a number of seminars that was kind of Greyhawk related, a whole bunch of them, and there was
really?
yeah, I went to at least well, there was at least three seminars that kind of touched Greyhawk in one way or the other for me. It was
So,
yeah, it was of course it was our seminar that we were on the panel with Carlos and Christoph and
Brian.
Brian Blomklotz and Alan, but we that one, the Greyhawk fandom renaissance. But then we had Mike Merle's Many Worlds of D&D that touched Greyhawk in some interesting ways. We'll get to that later. And then there was Darlene's kind of awesome 2 hour long personal
Oh,
journey that was fantastic. So that there was
with
some
Skip Williams there. I don't think so.
no, I don't think so. Darlene had her seminar by herself, and
Really?
yes, she sat
And
there
when?
and she had a whole bunch. Let's start with that one because that
Okay.
one touched me in many ways. It was the most personal seminar by far. It was awesome. She sat and she had a whole bunch of slides, maybe 100 or so. She had lots and lots of slides, and she talked for two
Ooh,
hours.
be prepared
And
this time.
yeah, and she had papers with text that she read, and it was kind of a monologue in character and out of character. And she talked about background stories, and from a Greyhawk perspective, she showed pictures from the studio where she made the map. When she
Ah,
and she had pictures of it and how she made it, and there was a lot of stories how she spent several months during the winter basically every waking hour leaning over the big drawing table and cutting out these different ones, and she couldn't screw up. There was no undo or anything like that. She
Wow.
just had to go on and do every little bit. And she also made it in 1-to-1 scale, so they could photograph it and then send it off to the printer. So it was a workflow that is, from today's digital perspective, ancient and also much more of a handicraft than today's. So that was fantastic. And that was I didn't go to the she was on another panel when they had all TSR artists and stuff. I didn't go to that one, but she talked a lot about how the difficulties being a woman back then in the TSR world and the art world.
I
And
imagine that was like the one that we went to the year before.
yeah, yeah,
You
they
were at,
have that
was
every.
that the year before,
I
or was
missed
that the 2 years ago?
that last year. I missed that one. I haven't been to it,
Okay, that
but
was
it's
2 years
it's a
ago.
staple. I think they have it every year at GaryCon. They have that one.
I know that Brian and uh, Christoph went to that one.
Yep. Yep. So that one touched in kind of a personal note. It was a lot of Darlene's kind of personal development and her stories and how they were rejected and stuff. But there were some neat little cool tidbits about the Greyhawk map and how it came about and so on, and the talk behind it, and also the address. So I'm going to, next time I get to GaryCon, I'm going to look up that address so I can see the house and see that's where the Greyhawk map was actually made. That would be kind of cool for us Greyhawk fans. It's I think it's almost as important for me is it's interesting as that's Gary's house. I want to see that's the house where it was done. So it's kind of, that was very interesting. And then we had let's
FT.
talk about our seminar. What was yeah,
Sure.
because we did the kind of 2 hour long seminar about fandom stuff.
Yeah, so there was pretty good turnout for this thing.
Yep.
It was weird. It was in like this stadium seating room,
Yep.
all right, where you're at the bottom and
Yep.
all these cameras and lights and everything, way more intense than I was expecting. And I'm used to seminars I've been to at Gen Con, let's say, to like a big auditorium. They just set up folding chairs or whatever. No, this room was built for this kind of thing.
Yep.
But no, we had. I was counting the heads. We had about 30-ish people.
Yeah.
Some kind of filtering in and out. So for a room that we had a maximum capacity of 50, I think we were doing pretty good there.
We were as good as Mike Merles or Jason Bullman didn't have that many, and Mike Merles
Oh,
didn't have much more
right.
than we did. Maybe 4 or 5 more, but not more. So I think we were good. We were on the high end of it. So yep.
Uh, we had a crowd that was, I think, had a lot of longtime Grok fans in there. There were
Definitely.
some
That
Cannon Fire
yeah. Oh
members,
yes. Yep.
Facebook
Mhm.
group members.
Yep.
I'm sure people who have put stuff out there themselves,
Yeah,
and
I
I
think
hope to reconnect with some of them.
yeah, when and Alan did the kind of how many of you have been on Cannon Fire, at least 1/3 of all the people present kind of raised a hand and say I've been on Cannon Fire and stuff. So that was really promising. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a projector, right, Anna?
Oh yes, we had a projector. The
Yeah,
problem
that
was
went
that there
right into
were
my face.
yeah, exactly. There was a problem. The projector, the screen was so low that Mike had to kind of duck under it. And
Yeah,
the other problem was that they also had strong lights so the video would look good. And that kind
uh,
of washed it out. So it was almost impossible for the audience to see what was
I
on the
didn't notice that.
projectors.
That
So
sucks.
yeah, so technically it was not a good thing. But when I went to Darlene's seminar, she had a wonderful TV and stuff that looked beautiful, pretty, so you can really see. So it was not technically that way. The facility was not good at all to show it. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, I picked that seat, Carlos. I should have got up and moved. I had a chance.
I moved. I picked it first and then
Uh,
turned on the projector and quickly
yeah,
moved to the next one. So
dang it.
yeah.
But someone brought a one of your maps printed
Yes,
out.
exactly.
That
I got thanks to Tony that I forgot the this his last name. I'm so sorry.
it was yeah.
M
I'll
something.
remember.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for that. Yeah, that I
It's on
forgot
my
what it.
blog though.
Yes, yeah. He brought a printed version of the map, and that was sitting next to the screen. So that was really good. So yep.
Yeah.
Oops, I think I lost. We lost.
No, I'm
There.
still here.
Oh, perfect. Yep.
Um, just stuff going on.
Yep.
And I was reading the chat. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
good question, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
What topics did we cover? Well, it was really a lot of introductions, being that for some people, you might have been the first time these people got to
Yeah, the problem was that the
out
audience
there.
was diverse because of the 30, let's say it was like 30, 35 people in there was like five of them who was just, oh, this sounds interesting. I don't know anything about it. And then there were five people that knew more about the setting than we on the panel. So they were like the whole range of audience, so to speak. So I guess if we had 2 hours, the first half hour went to just Alan introduced us a little
Yeah.
bit, and then he talked about some of the resources and a little bit about the some of the blogs and where you can find things. And then we had, let's see who was next. You were the next one in turn, I think. You were the, yeah,
Yeah, I just briefly touched on
yeah,
all the different media types I've worked in,
mm-hmm,
comics and
yep,
blogging
yep,
and streaming, so on and so forth.
yep. And then it was Carlos. He made a quick, not he didn't elaborate too much about what he actually did, which I think he should have. He should have. His adventures are so damn good. He should
He's
have
the adventure
advertised them.
publishing
Yes, he
expert on
talked
our.
more about how other people should, and
Yeah,
that was kind of awesome advice how to get into publishing. But he should have kind of peddled his ware more
I
and stuff.
plugged one of his adventures, or
Yeah,
he did plug his Patreon.
yeah, he did a little bit, but he should have done more of it. Yeah, definitely, they're worth it. So,
Well,
so yeah,
that's for next year, I guess.
yes, yeah. But Carlos had a wonderful go through the different hoops you can go through in order to publish things and the different pitfalls and stuff like that. So he that was the one of the big takeaways. So yeah,
Publishing had a lot of feedback too, which was probably
mm-hmm,
good.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. And then it was my turn. Yeah. And I was the unbiased self peddler in our group, so to speak. So I took 10 minutes and simply talked about my handout, show some slides, and then Alan did the only reasonable thing and told me that time's up, that someone else have to kind of, yeah. So that was good. So I got a chance to quickly go through, and I talked about my upcoming projects and stuff that we can detail in a coming episode with some more of it. But I also talked one key thing that wasn't really peddling myself. That was I talked about Creative Commons. So I kind of talked about 3-4 minutes about Creative Commons and the licensing and stuff that I use. So that part I covered more in detail than any of the other stuff, so to speak. So I was expecting that we could dig deep into the Q&A at the end, but that didn't really happen. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I see Carlos mentioned a while back about Eric Hawley. He had the other map, the rolled up
Mm-hmm.
map.
Yep. Yep.
Not the one that we actually had spread
Yeah.
out.
He had a, yeah,
But
that was,
Rottenar's podcast, I need to check that out.
yep. Yep. And then we had Brian Bloomklotz coming, and he didn't talk
Yeah.
that much about his heraldry. But he talked a lot about building communities and the pitfalls about that and moderation and stuff like that. So
Well,
that
I suppose maybe the handout,
exactly,
which
he
should
referred to
be,
the handouts, and the
yeah,
handout was
that
kind of the
speaks for
key.
itself. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
put that
So
in
there was a lot
functions.
of the yep, and I think the handout was something that was really really popular.
Uh, I didn't even do much on it, and it stressed me out.
Well,
But
next time you know that now we raise the bar. Now we have to have a double issue of Earth Journal next year with
uh,
tons of stuff in
yeah.
it. So, yep.
Uh, wait till that stuff's available online, if not already.
It should be. I think it should
Yeah,
be at Greyhawk Online. Should all of it be available by now? I hope so. Yep.
the handout stuff is going to be one of them must-have downloads very soon. And
Yes. Oh, sorry. As Gary asked if this was a seminar that the Earth Journal was handed out. Yes,
right,
this is a seminar.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How many of them did we have left afterwards?
Well, I don't think we got Any. I think they almost handed out every single one because they were,
Okay,
yeah, we
I was curious.
yeah,
We
Christoph
had
handed
a,
over to Bullman and Merles and a bunch of TSR.
any notable people he could find.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Greg
Okay.
Tito, Shelley Mesanoble, and a whole bunch of
Hey,
people got their copies
made
too.
sure the right people got them.
Yep,
Okay. I was worried in a room that held 50 people that we would have less than that show up, so we would end up with twice as much printouts than we needed.
No, I think we basically handed out everything. So yep.
Okay, great.
hmm Yep, and Luke Gygax. I think the most of the
I did.
Gygax family got their copies. I think. Yeah, I hope so. Yep. Oh,
Yeah,
here we have let's dig into that question
Nebbiolo.
just a little bit because I just want to touch with Carlos talked about Greyhawk Online, and he talked a lot about the kind of idea behind fandom, and now it's kind of a resurgence and kind of urged for people to come on and share their stuff. Basically, that was a lot of the kind of a cry for saying that come on, if you have some cool Greyhawk campaign stuff that you've been running at home, write it up and share it with the world, and so try to get people to come out of the woodworks with their awesome content, like Jay Scott has done with Lord Gazumba with his campaign and stuff.
Yeah.
So more people should kind of follow in the footsteps and release their stuff. So yep. So now that was the gist of the seminar, but and then we kind of bungled the time, so there wasn't much time for Q&A at the end, and that's something to keep an eye out for next year. I think the 2 hour window was probably perfect if we had kept good time and used the
Yeah.
time wiser. I think it would have been perfect, but that I feel partially guilty in that, more than partially guilty, because I should have looked at the time and kind of,
There's a
whoa, come
lot
on
of
here. Yeah,
stuff that
yeah.
people just want to
But
get
I
off their
think it
chest.
showed the
Yeah.
potential because there is enough interest in Greyhawk fan related stuff, especially at a con like GaryCon, that
I feel
we.
it's different for me because I regularly blog my thoughts
Mm-hmm.
all the time,
Yeah,
and so I didn't have as much to say in person.
yeah.
I already just throw everything out there.
Yeah. So, but I think it definitely, but for me, I missed because I wanted to hear what they wanted me to do. I
Mm,
wanted that feedback, and we didn't
yeah.
get a chance to that. I got some of that after the meeting, but that's the I think about how number, yeah,
It's
Stefanos
fun.
Agreva, a little over 2,000 people, I think, 2,000 some hundreds of people. Yeah, that's why I think it's the.
Really growing every year
Yes,
because we
yeah.
keep having to park farther away.
Yep. Now we had to park on the airfield. Even the runway, we parked at the
A
runway
runway.
this time. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's so that was
Levels.
the seminar. But I think it was overall it was a good first try, so to speak, to have this
Yeah, I've
type of
never
seminar.
been involved in something like that
Yeah.
before.
And it
Uh,
was, yeah. Go on.
Ordraco asks, did Brian McRae not object to doing
I
any?
know that
Uh,
Rick Miller didn't
Rick Miller
object.
was involved in
Yeah.
it. Beyond that, I don't know, man.
Exactly. I don't. That's something that Carlos and oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
I had no idea they were even going to do a print version until very late in this
yeah, I
thing.
think that came in late, and it was Christoph and Alan. I'm not sure, but I think those two were the ones that handled. I wasn't involved in that part, so to speak. I had my own handout, and
Nebbiolo, if you want all the Orc journals, I think they're now up on uh, Greyhawk Online.
yes, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah,
And now we have one other question that Gary Peace Major said: how many of the 70s and 80s era designers were around? And a whole bunch of them. There was a whole bunch of them. There was Mike Carr. There were, yeah, Dave Zeb Cook, and there were probably a dozen or so of old TSR
if you're going to
alumni.
go to a convention where you want to meet old TSR people, you need to like go start going now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just
Gary Con
some
probably
of
have.
them have good health.
Yeah, and also I think that there are more of old TSR alumni at GaryCon than at Gen Con.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, way more, and they're easy
yeah.
to find because I went
Yeah.
in to look at Dawn Patrol because that's my airplane enthusiasm. As soon as I see something with an airplane on it, the convention, I have to go and look. And it was Mike Carr and a whole bunch of his friends that ran it, and they were basically all of them were old alumni and stuff. So they were awesome. So I talked to them for a bit too. So, and a whole bunch of TSR artists were there: Jeff Easley, Jerry Elmore, Diesel, Darlene, yeah, and more. So yeah, so they were a whole
Well, I
bunch
don't
of
want to be grim and say, yeah, they're they're dying and whatnot, but
well,
the,
they're getting in. They're way up in
yeah,
the 70s, many of
to a
them.
point
So
where they just don't have the energy to want to go
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, you can see Tim Kask and uh, was it James E. Ward? They were both in kind of these little buggies or little things where you
Scooters or
yeah,
something.
scooters
Yeah,
and stuff. So yeah, so you can
yeah.
tell that you go quickly because you don't know how many more cons some of these old awesome designers will be around.
Let's see. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then we had the one more seminar that was kind of the biggie for me
Oh,
in
really?
many ways. Darlene was the most best
Yeah.
seminar when it comes to kind of the she did a wonderful presentation, and she was opening up, and it was wonderful to get to know her, and I got a chance to talk to her besides that too. But then we had Mike Merle's the Many Worlds of D&D seminar. That was really interesting because it was Mike Merles who questioned Dave Zeb Cook and Janine something when I should have written this down and I didn't. But those two old TSR alumni that and they talked. So Mike Merles asked questions like, "How did you think about worlds back in the day, and why did you do this, and why didn't you do that, and when you why would this presented in a box set, and why were Spelljammer not so popular, and why were Planescapes hugely popular, and so on and so forth." So
Yeah.
it was a 2 hour seminar, 1 or 2 hours, I'm not sure. I think it was 2 hours, and it was very interesting. There was a lot of behind the scenes kind of we did this and we had fun, and one of the first kind of interesting things was that Greyhawk had a difficult time at TSR because Gary was up there, and when the designers wrote something, they had to kind of go by him, and he had the final say, so it became difficult. So a bit like they said,
Well,
like
I wonder if
yeah.
things got corny after he was out of the way. They had
Well,
all
if they
this.
opened the
Uh,
floodgates and now we can do anything, and it was a little bit like that. Then yeah, so it was a bit like
mm.
we needed Forgotten Realms because then we could do whatever we wanted to do and stuff. So yeah.
Well, it's weird. You got me thinking about Planescape. When
Mhm.
I the last Gen Con I went to, I got to meet Tony D. Terlizzi.
Mhm. Yeah, the artist
Art
that kind of yeah.
defines
Mhm.
Planescape.
Yeah.
Dark Sun, Brahms, art
Yeah.
defines
Mhm. Yeah.
those settings.
But we never had
And
one for Greyhawk that
yeah,
way.
there's no singular. I ain't saying that those guys drove the story, but sometimes I think maybe the art could
Yeah.
drive the story
Mhm.
too. I
Yeah.
think Forgotten Realms is largely driven by the novels of R.A. Salvatore,
Yeah.
or just as much as Ed Greenwood. Now,
Yeah, but in that way, I guess it's the unfortunate thing that Greyhawk had its heyday before TSR became a really professional publishing company. Before they had someone who actually was a really good art director. They didn't have a big art budget. They didn't. It was yeah. So and they didn't have like enough money for doing color printing was too expensive to do more than the covers, and so and you could tell that the art didn't get anywhere near as much money and love as it did in later editions and thoughts. So yeah.
a mountain of stuff was thrown away.
Yes, I've never heard any official someone actually said that it happened, but I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah.
Um, Sidetrack. You made me
Hmm.
remember. Just last night, I picked up White Plume Mountain, the novel White Plume Mountain by Paul Kidd.
Hmm.
Started to try to read it.
Yeah,
I
I
think
have
I got
that. I haven't read it, but I have it. Yep.
in like 5 pages and I fell asleep. So,
Uh-oh.
but I'm dead set on trying to finish one of these novels.
Yeah, I should read that one too fully, so to speak. I've kind of eyed it through a little bit.
So, what else was going on at the Mike Merles? Was that it?
That the key interesting, and now I have to give a special shout out to Christoph because he asked the difficult question
Attaboy.
in a wonderful, diplomatic, awesome way, very carefully worded. And the question is like we can always assume, since we are the Greyhawk fanatics here, will Greyhawk come back? And he asked it, yeah, he asked it in a very diplomatic way because I have to backtrack a little bit. What they talked about when they talked about the worlds, the different campaign settings, is that there were basically two types of campaign settings. There are the home base campaign setting where characters live their lives and the adventures are set. And then there are kind of destination settings where you go on vacation for a campaign or a few adventures and stuff like that. And so the thing what Christoph was really good. He simply said, "Well, now we've heard about this different settings and the types of settings and stuff. So now I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he simply said something like, how will you treat the different worlds and stuff, and have you made plans for how to do this and in future?" And Mike Merles, he lit up like, wow, I can talk about this. And he went on a 10-minute awesome
Wow.
spree on the importance of finding the right formula for each setting.
Which gave him plenty of more time to
Yeah,
dodge the question.
exactly. He could dodge it in a
And
way that he liked to dodge it.
that's,
But what it
yeah.
told me, judging from his answers, because he sounded really like this is the way I'm thinking about it. And if I take the Greyhawk presentation he had on Dragon Talk like a month ago with what he said at the seminar, it sounds to me like they had a bunch of ideas on we want to do settings this way or we want to do it that way and so on. But Greyhawk, they haven't formulated and say that Greyhawk will get this treatment. But it sounds to me, judging from the discussion, is that some settings, yeah, settings will simply be sidebars from now on, so to speak. They will be mentioned because they have a history and they are dear to some old folks like us. So some
Yeah.
settings will probably just get the sidebar treatment, meaning here, if you want to run this in setting so and so, then here is some ideas and what you can think of, so to speak. So some settings will probably just be sidebars. That's it. And then you have some settings that will be the resort setting, meaning the cool ones that have one little theme, and they will be the ones the characters travel to for the occasional adventure or the occasional campaign. They will get like a soft cover or some ideas, and then open up maybe on DM's Guild. Then they will get the occasional kind of cool campaign now and then, and that will be it. And then there will be the ones that will be more fully settings, meaning there will be the home settings, and they will probably get like a splash book, and they will be open up for way more details. And they so you could probably settings will get from the a whole range. So there will not be a cookie cutter, meaning each setting will come out according to this. So we can probably assume that, yeah, Greyhawk will, if finally will get one of these treatments, like from sidebar to fully fledged setting book or something like
Well,
that. Yeah. But I
let me
wonder,
tell you
would the
about that.
DM's Guild open up for all of them, or only for the ones with the book, or not for the ones with the sidebar? So yeah, so
I'm skeptical still.
yeah,
And here's why
yeah,
about DM's Guild and any kind of Greyhawk book. At the same time, he's dancing around that, and we're at our seminar speculating on it.
mm-hmm,
DM's Guild will allow Greyhawk Publishing. Goodman Games announced that they're doing a expedition to the Barrier Peaks fifth edition adaptation.
yep,
Those books, are like that thick. Probably a gorgeous,
yeah.
looking
They
book.
did keep the Borderlands and like
And
yeah, they're
Pile of
like
Dread.
retro clones, but for fifth edition
So
with
they went from basic to expert to Greyhawk. They didn't. They kind of strayed there a little.
yeah.
And then, well, I almost lost my train of thought. Um, so they got the expedition uh, thing going, and then, dang, I forgot the other one. Uh, well, shoot.
Yeah, they had keep on the Borderlands, and then now they will get the
Oh
expedition.
no, I saw a. I'm sorry. Yeah, I saw an ad This was in the one of the other game rooms. Harold Johnson is doing a sequel to Hidden Shrine of Tomoa-chan
Mm-hmm.
that I saw an ad to, and I don't know how what system that is, or if it's just a knockoff or whatever.
Yeah.
But all I'm thinking of is, well, Harold Johnson wrote the original, so he's got some latitude, let's say. And then Goodman Games has some kind of good working relationship that
Yeah.
they're allowed to
Mm-hmm.
do keep on the board or expedition.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting, what that's getting down to is there we are running out of classics
Oh
for
yeah,
people.
exactly. And I don't think that we will see the classics done again for Greyhawk ever. That ship has already been
Yeah.
done, I think. But they've taken Temple of Elemental Evil and now Saltmarsh and stuff. And
So
yeah.
Wizards does get around to wanting to do something for the Greyhawk treatment. What will that be? I mean, they've already used a lot of the really obvious choices by now.
Well, yeah, but that's probably, hopefully, maybe Mike Morris looks at it like me, because for me it's never been the modules that never been interesting to me. So if I were Mike Morris, I could have given them away to someone else basically.
They're not
And
exactly good
yeah,
at
and
doing material either.
yeah, so I'm kind of more interested in the setting
Right.
itself, not the old classical module, and especially like Keep of the Borderlands, which is
Yeah.
not specifically tied into Greyhawk either. It's kind of
There's
wasn't originally written for Greyhawk.
the only thing Greyhawk has so far that hasn't been touched in the last three editions is war. Greyhawk is a war setting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, it's known for its dungeons and things, and
Yeah.
but it's also known for the Greyhawk Wars or whatever wars you
Yeah.
want to talk about. Yeah,
And that's also something that's so far from what I know about in the fifth edition, is that these kind of large campaign structures and ideas and things haven't been covered in official fifth edition yet. It's mostly castles and strongholds and stuff. Has There's been some third party stuff that have touched it,
right.
but nothing official from Wizard of the Coast yet has touched these kind of Marklands. I use the evil kind of, or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
So that's why they might never get around to touching that. So it might be sidebars from for
yeah,
for some of the stuff. Meaning, if you set it in Greyhawk, you can kind of put it here. But it's kind of well, I guess they can do sidebars as long as they publish PDFs of the old setting books and stuff, because then people can actually put it up. But if you have sidebars showing the different settings, I think it will be appropriate to have at least one splat book with kind of, or kind of fluffy book that actually explains some of the settings.
sure. That's the least they can do.
Exactly. So that's the other thing. Meaning, if they want to have, if they're going to give it some official treatment, even if it's just sidebars from now on, they would be good to have something other than old PDFs that are for a game system they haven't published in 25 years.
We
Yeah.
mentioned, sorry, get off
Hmm.
track there.
Yeah.
Or Draco, we mentioned your Bandit Kingdom compilation.
Yes,
Episode,
exactly. That was mentioned at the seminar, definitely. Yep. Mm-hmm. Several
and,
times. Yep.
and Nebbiolo's right. Joe Block's got a ton of material just kind of waiting to
Yep. Mm-hmm.
unload.
Yep. We mentioned that too.
Yeah,
And he was
Joe was
Joe
there.
was there at the seminar too, so he could kind of talk a little bit, but he wasn't saying too much about it. So yeah.
Very graciously came too because he was leaving his booth unattended.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, yeah, all they had to do was slap that logo on there. Ghost of Saltmarsh. Speaking of Ghost of Saltmarsh, after the show, I'm going to post a new article on my blog at Grey Hawkery about Saltmarsh, the city.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
You might not like it.
Okay. Do you have any
A little
spoilers on what the
controversy.
angle will
Uh,
be?
yeah, the angle is Saltmarsh is super popular. I think
Mm-hmm.
we all agree. It's iconic.
Yep.
But I think Published Greyhawk has underused it. That it is not his. It's underappreciated.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you, Gary. I just did some research and digging into salt marsh, and I'm thinking, well, if people want to put salt marsh into their own campaign as this
Yeah.
generic, that's great because in regular published Greyhawk, it's kind of was small and insignificant, and we probably wouldn't miss it anyways.
Yeah, it's one of these remote corners of southern Keoland that is not
Yeah.
especially important even in the business of Keoland. It's kind of a remote location far out in nowhere. So yeah.
Blake, yes, Wizards of the Coast does have the rights to Greyhawk.
Yep.
Um, if it went back to Gary's family, nobody would ever get to touch it, probably.
That's yeah, that's kind of yeah, we'll see. Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right. Like uh, or Draco said, the unpublished stuff, maybe the novels are owned by
Yeah,
Gary. I don't.
it might be. Yeah, I don't know if he wrote more than the one that he published under his the Gord novels that published under New Infinities. I don't know if he that might be a few more that never got published. So yeah. But overall, the Mike Merle's seminar kind of touched at least that
Right.
settings are something that are cherished at least by Mike Merles because he's very much the same genre. He's gamed
They're
for
really good
decades.
at doing fan service. Yeah.
Yeah, but on the other hand, he probably needs to. They will think twice. Old setting material is not coming back the way we had it with box sets and settings that way.
Huh.
But on the other hand, things might change. In a few years, the gamers might have gone through these adventures, and thanks to modern tools and stuff, there might be a new creative kind of resurgence of making your own stories and stuff like that. So you never know. So
But that's what maybe I'm kind of getting at is if they're letting Goodman do a full on expedition to the Barrier Peaks book, hardback book, I'm not kidding, as big as a Bible.
yeah. Hmm.
Why wouldn't Goodman just say, "Hey, can we put out a World of Greyhawk box set for
Yep.
5e?
Yep.
With
Yep.
maps and things?" It would literally be no different, I think. And
Yeah. So
uh,
they might out and that's not unthinkable because the Wizard of the Coast have outsourced the production of a number of their books and modules and stuff are done. Like
or
Kobold
who's
Press
the other
did,
ones that work
and
with
Wolfgang
Kobold?
did the demon. What
Yeah.
was it? The demon Queen of Dragons and I think it was Queen of Dragons with Tiamat and that whole
Out of
campaign.
the Abyss. Oh no, the first one,
Yeah, exactly. The first
Rise of
one was done
Ten.
by Kobold Press and Wolfgang Bauer, and they did that one. And then there have been others done by other companies. Yeah, so it's not unheard of. They
Yeah.
are, yeah, they're definitely,
Horde of the Dragon Queen.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Horde of the Dragon. Yeah, so that might be something they might outsource the whole thing and simply say some other entity write it and pay a license fee or whatever the agreement might be. But that might very well be the case that they do that. So.
Here you go, Bavix box set.
Hmm. Oh, and by the way, Jason had the tiny little version of the
Oh, did
box
he
set.
show you that?
Yes, he had that
Uh,
with. So I seen that tiny one where you have to have a magnifying glass to read it. But
he
that was
won't
so
give that
cute.
to me. I want that. I want that mini.
Oh, I can. Yeah, yeah. I would like it too, but it's so cute. It's unusable because you really need a
Uh,
magnifying glass to use it. So in that way, but it's one of these cute little things you can show at
he
conventions and
brought
stuff.
that to get Darlene to sign the map, and he chickened out.
Ah, he chickened out on that. Oh,
Uh,
Darlene,
I guess
she's
so.
wonderful. She's so nice
I
and
don't
yeah.
know.
Hmm. Oh yeah, box set porn. That's the term. Yep. Hmm. Yep, that's the term. So.
Oh, well, while we're doing a little bit of show tell at GaryCon, I picked up Manual of the Plains.
Oh, did you
I have
have that?
never, the hardback, no, I've never owned this book.
Ah,
When I
I
saw it
got
at
it
the dealer's booth,
straight
I
when
had
it
to pick it
came
up.
out. It's been one of my favorites. So, yep.
And so while I was getting that, I had Jeff Easley. I don't know if you can see that or not. Jeff Easley signed it.
Jeffy Easley, he did a whole bunch of cool stuff like that. When people brought things for him to sign, instead of just writing his name, he started asking questions, and then he held it like this, and he scribbled around, and then he just handed over, and you got an original Easley. That was so cool. So yep,
Greyhawk Adventures. Yep.
yep. So he
I have a
Easley,
mini
yeah.
Dean's Guide.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I saw Jason had. what was it? The Unearthed Arcana, I think it was,
Yeah, I think so.
and the Greyhawk box.
Yeah,
Yep. I think it was an Italian company or something that did these, and they are super well done. They are exact
yeah,
mini
these.
copies, like a fifth of the size or something like that from the originals, with all the stuff in it. The box set, the whole everything in it is perfectly done. So yeah, but so that was
Yeah,
the seminars. And Dave Seb Cook, he had a lot of wonderful anecdotes, and how
cool.
they ran around and did this, and then that didn't work out and they did that instead, and stuff. So yeah, so it was a lot of fun stuff, going around it, and back and forth with the setting materials. So that was really fun, and especially the fact that Gary was kind of a lid on Greyhawk creativity for some time at the end of his stay in
Mm.
at TSR. So yeah,
If Gary had just got his movie deal or his cartoon deal or something like that,
yeah.
well, he did a cartoon.
But
If
on
he
the
had,
other hand, we saw how bad the D&D movies later became, so it might
uh,
have been a good
I'm
idea
just
that,
saying,
yeah.
he would have still been with the company.
That might,
Maybe.
yeah, exactly. There can always be like
Maybe just
a what if. You can speculate that on a whole bunch of levels. So yeah.
yes, Nebbiolo.
Oh, you mean the astral dreadnought that is on the Planescape? Yep.
No, Nebbiolo was asking about Gary Kahn. It's set at the Grand Geneva, whatever the name of that place is. It
Yeah,
used to be a Playboy.
yeah, Grand Geneva Resort or something like that. It's the biggest venue in town, next to the
It's an
airport.
airstrip
Yep.
and
Hmm.
ski
I
mountain,
think
all this stuff.
yeah, I've heard something that was actually Hugh Hefner's that built it back in the day, and that room that we had, the seminar room, was his screening room. That
Hmm.
someone whispered that in my ear,
Wow.
and yeah, so I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the saying, that it's actually built by him
Well,
back
that's
in the
what we're
day.
going to say now.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of,
That's
yeah.
the
So
story.
it's unconfirmed rumor or background story said that. I would be surprised, because it was that kind
Astral.
of style. So yeah,
I've never used an astral dreadnought
yeah.
before.
Astro Dreadnought is that cool with the claws on the front of the manual of the planes. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm always on the lookout for books that I don't own
Mm-hmm.
at these conventions.
Yep.
It would be easy just to go online and
Yep.
buy
I
them on
saw
eBay.
that, yeah, that the one of the game stores that had in the exhibit hall, they actually had a Greyhawk Greyhawk City box set there for, I think
Should
it was
do it.
$50 or something like that, and someone bought it, and it
Really?
disappeared. Yep. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
because I was telling Linda she should have got that.
Yes, exactly. She was looking at it, and then she was thinking of it, and then it was gone. Yeah, so it
Oh well,
disappeared. Yep. Mm-hmm.
next time.
Yep.
um, let's see. We got to meet Ernie Gygax.
Yes, exactly. In the evening, you talked to him, you and Jason and Brian and Christoph. Christoph even got an invitation to game with Ernie
Oh,
after
I
the
can't wait to
con.
hear how that
So
goes.
we will see about that. Yes, and there were some rumors of a Tensor portrait on the wall or something. We'll see if there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. He
Yep.
said someone did like like was it a painting? He said,
I
or
something, a
yeah,
sketch or a painting or
something
something. Yeah.
big.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And there were some stories about Ernie and his tough life before and stuff like that. So there was
True.
some
We have to
interesting. Yeah.
talk to Scott Casper. He said Ernie said that Tinzer looks like him. So I don't know if I've seen a picture of Ernie when he was younger.
Yep. Yep. So that was
Kinda,
that was fun. That was a good. So
yeah.
we got a chance to babble and talk to and
Mhm.
around a whole bunch of people
Very
that way.
gracious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So that,
Oh,
and I heard that Dave Seb Cook liked my maps. That was kind of awesome. He mentioned that when I wasn't even around, but there were
wow.
several people who told me that. So that was kind of awesome. So I got a little bit of cred that way. Yep. And we
Trying
had
to think.
we had an artist gathering at the bar and on Friday evening, and that was
Oh
kind
yeah.
of awesome. Yeah, I made a bunch of friends, and Elissa Faden and me, we got a chance to sit, and I even had a beer, that doesn't happen often. And
Spent a lot of time in that bar.
yep, so we babbled about lots of things and met a lot of whole bunch of creative people that could draw things that was simply amazing. So there are a whole bunch of stuff like that happens at GaryCon that is really cool. It's kind of a laid back convention, very laid back. You just wander around and people from the industry, super fans, all back people that used to work at TSR, whatever. They just wander around. Joe Manganielli was walking around several times, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Got to,
and yeah,
you
and
know,
now I
yeah.
actually knew who he was. That was so funny at Gen Con last year. He was at the Lone Wolf booth and walked around, and I didn't. And he was talking to a whole bunch of people, including me, just a little bit, and I didn't know who he was. So I just treated he was one of the
Huh.
people that I didn't have a clue.
How about
And then afterwards, someone said, "Oh, he's a movie star. He's been in TV series and
that?
whatnot." And I was like, "Oh," so I missed that. So
Nice.
yep. So I was kind of I wasn't starstruck because I didn't
Brown.
realize who he was.
Yeah. Brown wine. Yeah.
Yep. So it was kind of really. No, I don't like brenvin. No, no, I that's way too strong for me. I will
No.
pass out immediately. Yep. If it were for that. So yep.
Malden, you need to come to Gary Con.
Yes, definitely. It's up in almost your neck of the woods too, so it's not that far away from
Yeah.
Canada, I hope. Yep. That will be so much fun. But I was thinking, what should we do for the our Greyhawk seminar for next year?
Number two, uh, more Q&A.
Yes, way more Q&A. We
Way
should do
more.
way more Q&A, and
Uh,
we should have a moderator who only moderates
just
and
have
have a tight
some.
look at the clock. Yep.
Uh, shoot. Maybe we could jam session a module for Carlos or something. I don't know.
That will be fun too. Yep. And we could definitely fill that room again, and we can probably have several seminars if we want to have different topics. We could probably kind of
Mhm.
go into to various kind of directions
Oh
with them.
yeah,
Yeah. But there
Lake
is
Geneva.
oh,
Sorry,
go on.
Gary was talking about Lake Geneva. Yeah, Lake Geneva is a very nice town.
Yep.
I can't imagine what it's like in the summer.
Exactly. I've only seen it in the winter, so when it's
Yeah.
been slushy and snowy and stuff. But one of the kind of threats to GaryCon its popularity because now it's basically
Mm.
reached the maximum capacity, meaning all the parking lots within 1 mile of the resort is fully taken. Every hotel room you have to go 2 miles away down on the other side of town to get a hotel room,
Yeah,
and
that
there's
worries
no
me.
parking and stuff. Yeah, and I've heard I didn't hear it from Luke personally, but because I didn't talk to him, but there were several people that did talk to him that said that now they basically hit the limit. So if a few more hundred people and they have to move somewhere else. And this is the biggest venue in Lake Geneva. So there is no bigger place to host the convention. So they either have to spread it out to multiple hotels and stuff, or they have to move to Milwaukee, which would
Well,
be
I give it to
sad.
them. There
Yeah.
are a lot of hotels on site.
Yeah, there are
Uh,
like three hotels within like 1 mile or within around the
yeah,
golf course. So if they spread out to with rooms to be, but the parking lots and hotel rooms is the
right.
biggest
And
problem, I
so
think.
after a while, you think it'll like move to Milwaukee or
Yeah,
something.
but that will lose the spirit because the cool thing is
Yeah,
that it is in Lake
it's
Geneva. You can walk over and
one
you can see
location.
Gary's house, you can see the horticultural
Yeah.
hall,
Well,
and you can see the old TSR headquarters are just down the street, and it's there. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it will be the
Roland's
story
right.
of
It's
GaryCon is
happening all over again.
following Gen Con and going, yeah. So if Gen Con moves to Vegas because it gets too big, then I guess GaryCon can move to
Oh, well.
Milwaukee, and they could kind of be 1 or 2 steps behind. So
If
yeah,
I'm going to Vegas, it's not for D&D.
no, but Gen Con is getting so big that it might
Oh,
outgrow
okay.
out of Indianapolis. The same
You
story.
know,
Not enough hotel rooms. Not
I
enough.
love
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
yeah.
If they swap places and Gary got went to Indianapolis,
Oh yeah,
hey,
then GaryCon might be
yeah.
the big yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Gary kind of hasn't
Yeah,
hit that
exactly. Yeah, you could kind of put a
plan.
lid on it and simply say you have to get in early, otherwise you don't get a ticket. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's but it's a very laid back con, and it has a lot of old OSR kind of old school revival to it, but that's not the whole thing because
Oh,
there's a lot of fifth edition being played, there's some Pathfinder being played, and I also went to Jason Bullman. He had a presentation on PF2, not for this show, but that was one of my other highlights going there
cool.
to hear some of the PF2 stuff being presented. That was for me very very interesting. There are some other games, and there's some Hackmaster. There is a whole bunch of old board games being played, even like Dawn Patrol and stuff like that. So it's yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, so Amanda agrees. Luke Gygax said they're not moving
Ah,
it.
okay, good. Yeah, yeah.
And Bavix, you're right. Indianapolis just keeps building more and more hotels, and
They might
the
keep up with it
they
if they're
can't.
lucky. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, back when I was in the hotel industry, I was like all freaking out about how
Mm-hmm.
many hotels they had, but now it's like it, it's not enough. I always used to think, oh, there's plenty of hotels, no big deal. It's always a mad scramble to get rooms there.
Yep. And Carlos, I didn't forget about the first edition. It's like in Gary Con, the various old school like first edition, the Ostrich and so on. That's the main attraction is the old school games, and then you have a lot of fifth edition on the side, and then a tiny bit of Pathfinder
Yeah,
and some other
I was gonna
stuff.
say there's not much in between, is there?
No, most of it is old school in various forms.
Yeah,
Whether it's people who bring their old players handbooks and DMG and play a
right.
first edition, second edition, and so on. And then there's the other ones who play the kind of the revival, the Ostrich and the other retro clones, Hackmaster and so on. And I didn't see that many that played the basic D&D. I didn't see that. I
They may have
wonder.
been there.
Yeah, it may have been. I wandered around, but I didn't see any of the books. It was most of them seemed to either played first edition AD&D or they played the retro clones or of various. So Hackmaster was a whole bunch of them, and Ostrich were a bunch of them, and so on. So
Errol Lotus was there.
yes, he was there. Yep.
I didn't get to meet him though. I'm
I
sad.
saw him and we were talking. I talked to Lloyd Metcalf and but a couple of other ones, and he kind of stopped by and talked to one of them. So I can't say I talked to him, but I've been close to him. So yeah, seen him. So yep, exactly. More box set stuff. So yep.
Yeah, I got them all right here.
hmm
Just,
Yeah, I have a bunch of them here too. So there are a few of them stuff here. So
but
yep.
yeah, I really wanted to get Errol Otis's autograph on something, and I had brought my basic player, the basic set player handbook with me.
hmm
Just never saw the artist, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah. But Gary Con is the cool. If you have someone old that you want to sign
And
your
yeah,
stuff,
Carlos.
yeah, yeah, Gary Con is the place to go. Gen Con is there's so many people, it's
No,
impossible
we
to
would
find
never
the
engage.
the, the ones that. But Gary Con,
Yeah.
there plenty, and Gary Con is more of it's a convention for the alpha gamers and the professionals in the business.
Huh.
Gen Con is for everyone who plays nowadays, so to speak. But Gary Con is much more of a target audience. I get the sense that one third are the gaming professionals, and then there's one third or most of the rest are the ones that love to play the old
So
style.
what Carlos and Amanda are telling me here is next year I need to give them my books so that they can get it signed by Errol Otis for me.
Oh, that's an idea. Yep, yep. I think that Carlos should have his own Castle Entertainment should have a seminar next year, present their
Oh
whole
yeah,
lineup of stuff and so on. Yep, I think that will fly. Yep.
the whole range.
Yep, Game Hole Con.
Uh,
Yes, I think
Cable
yeah,
Con.
Blake Ryan Batman. Yep, I really hope so because I'm going to Game Hole Con this
Where's that
fall.
at again? I
It's
forget
in
every year.
Madison. It's in Madison, so it's
Just a little
just
further up
next
the road.
exactly. So it's just like an hour up the road.
Okay.
So yep.
Now, how big is Madison, say, compared to Indianapolis?
Madison is smaller than Indianapolis, way smaller, I think.
Right.
Yeah, maybe three, four
It's the
hundred thousand
capital.
or something like that. But they have a
Capital.
convention center that seems to be not as big as Indiana Convention Center, but it's
So,
big.
is this a place that Gary Conwood could? migrate to?
Oh yeah, it's definitely bigger
Yeah.
than Lake Geneva Inn. So yeah, and Alex Kammer was there talking to Luke a lot. So I don't know if that was
Um,
something that I don't know. I have no clue.
yeah,
But
Game Full
you can
Cons.
put two and two together and speculate, so to speak. So
Mm,
yeah. But
okay.
I'm happy to announce that
Pretzel.
I'm invited to Gamehole Con as a guest of honor or guest, so to speak.
What?
Yes, yep. So I will be on at Gamehole Con together with Alyssa Faden, and I think we were about a dozen guests who were invited to
Wow.
have seminars and stuff like that. So I will be there, and Alyssa Faden and me will have some sort of, maybe each of us have separate seminars. I will have some sort of presentation at Gamehole Con this year. So yeah.
Ooh.
And also them, I will also might have a presentation at Gen Con this year too. So there have been some interest, and there are ideas up for review by Gen Con. So we'll see. That won't be something I will, if I'm going to have one, then I will. Oh, thank you, Carlos. Yep. So that will be something. If those plans will happen, I will definitely talk about it here at one of the later shows when we have more things coming up. But there might be a presentation both at Gen Con and at Game Hall Con. There would definitely be one at Game Hall Con for sure. Yep.
You are in industry. Great.
Yep, I'm starting to feel like I'm one of the professionals now. It's
Yeah.
starting to feel that way. I'm starting to be recognized a little bit. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of fun. So yep. I just feel that going to conventions is awesome, and it's so much fun and stuff, and it's kind of a working vacation, and you get to, it's like going to meeting all the colleagues and friends and everything. But afterwards I get that, like, damn, now I've been lazy for 5 days or 6 days, and now I need to catch up. So I've been kind of, thankfully Facebook kind of went out on the other day, so that was good. I can kind of dodge the whole thing and started working again. So I feel like I have so much to do and catch up
Wow.
on.
You're lucky. The only thing I have planned is in April, I'm going to the spring conference for work. And so me and Jason are
Oh,
going on another trip up north, but
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm working. That's something we can mention before we move on to other things. I can mention real quick. I'm working on the layered PSD version of my Flanese map. So there will be a full resolution layered PSD version where you can mask out things, and
Jeez.
that I will also use as the base for my new handout maps and stuff. So I can make them much better than I did before. So I'm like halfway done with it, because you have to export every layer separately, and all
Hmm,
the different all the village tags, village symbols will be on one layer, and then all the tags will be on another one. So you can make a player version and a DM version and stuff. So, and all the roads are in a different, so to speak.
crazy.
The parchment maps. That's good you say, because
Huh.
I'm going to release the first version of them coming hopefully tomorrow. I will make a blog post, because I have a whole bunch of stuff to make blog posts. So the parchment maps, the first will be on my website at least this week, and there will be a first look at the Gaia software will be there this week too, and there will be some other blog posts that I want to have some other ideas and stuff that I'm going to talk about, and I'm also going to start my map streams for my patrons. My top patrons will start next week. So that's my little kind of blurb, what I'm up to, so to speak. And then there is a bunch of new cool tech stuff coming out, and there is a new version of World Machine coming, and now Gaia is come out, and so there is a whole bunch of new possibilities. So there will be some awesome cool things that I can do. So the Lendor Isles map is kind of, I'm working a little bit, and then I'm keeping an eye out for the new tech in versions that are coming out. A lot of it I've already been able to do manually, but I think that new versions of the tools will make it even better. So yep.
Step up your game, Malden. And is like,
Oh yes. Yep.
but yeah, ooh, if Malden could do like his Greyhawk City maps, like city, sewer,
Mm-hmm. Yep,
whatever.
and that was definitely Maldin's awesome Underdark work is something that I've kept an eye on for like 20 years now. I think it was about 20 years since I saw it the first time, and that is something that will definitely be part of when I get there, and I will make a first little foray. Would be to update my campaign map with more I use the evil and the Empire of
Ooh.
IU stuff, and I will make some of IU's demi-plane that I'm using in my campaign will be modeled that way, and that will be kind of a first test case for Underdark maps. So I will experiment a bit because with my campaign map I go out on the limb and experiment more, and then whatever works well will be imported into the next year's full version or when I'm starting doing Underdark stuff. So that's the.
Well, Blake, maybe someone's done Greyhawk in Minecraft. Not this guy.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of stuff in Minecraft,
Really?
and yes, and I've also because a lot of Minecraft mappers, probably about a dozen or so, the last year have reached out to me because I'm a member of the World
Uh,
Machine group, and World Machine is one of these tools that the Minecraft community uses to create their maps. But I haven't, and
huh.
I always keep an eye out because from a technical standpoint, that's something that's very interesting to me, but I haven't
Huh.
seen any work done in when it comes to Greyhawk because but we have to realize that the average age of the Minecraft is probably
Yeah.
teens to lower 20s. So
Sure.
it's they are probably they have so many other newer cooler worlds and stuff
Yeah.
to work in. So Greyhawk is probably off their beaten track a bit. But there are some really cool things to do, and now I'm going to go on a 2 minute rant here, but or at least
Oh.
one is that Minecraft is such a cool idea, and if someone would make a Minecraft where the bits and pieces will be 1/10 the scale of Minecraft, then you could, if it's basically like, instead of, it's like Minecraft is like having 4-bit graphics. It's kind of terrible, big, and blocky. If you can increase the resolution, meaning that make the pieces
Ah.
smaller, then it will be awesome. So someone out there, I was thinking, but I'm not good enough making these kind of. You can use Unreal or Unity game engine to do this, but someone can please make these building blocks puny tiny, and then you can build, because then just increase the resolution and Minecraft will be absolutely awesome to do it in. But that's that's my take on it, and then it will be a professional tool to build worlds in, if you made the bits and pieces tiny compared to it. And there have been a lot of experiments that way. So sooner or later, someone will make it. And there's some that we should have a whole episode about this in the future. But there's now
We should.
technically there are so many cool kind of tools that bubbles around making worlds. Most of them are actually geared for sci-fi, but imagine take one of these tools that are now used for sci-fi and make it for fantasy. And wow, you have there's one French company that makes a game called Dual Universe that is for sci-fi, and their game engine is simply beyond anything that is being done. And you have Star Citizen, another one. If you take these game engines that are now geared for sci-fi and you make a fantasy version of them, wow, we will have truly epic world building. You can make a whole planet, and you can
Oh.
make thousands of characters and big battles and all sorts of stuff. So technically, what used to be very limiting when it comes to digital presentation of a campaign world and of games that we used to in tabletop role playing games, now computer technology is actually kind of catching up. So now we can have games that are as epic as tabletop role playing games. Soon we
Uh-huh.
will be, and then you put in augmented reality, but that's further down the line. But Dual Universe and Star Citizens have now been in development for 4 or 5 years, and they will probably come out and be ready in about a couple of years to start playing in. And I'm definitely sure that some of these will probably license these game engines for other games, because that will be a big revenue source. So my guess is that 5, 6, 7 years from now, we will probably have these super elaborate, enormous worlds that are the scope of the Flannies, full of interesting creatures that we can kill in cities we can walk around in, and we can play with tens of thousands of other players in one world at the same time. And you can build your guild, and you can go out and build your castle and do all the stuff that we dream of doing, that we normally do in a tabletop campaign, that we can do them in
Is that
computer
when
games.
Hasbro buys Blizzard?
Yes, but I bet sure that it will not be the Paisos and the Wizard of the Coast that does this. It will
Uh-huh.
be computer gaming companies that will come up from
Right.
nowhere, and they will be big. And Star Citizen, the company behind it, they got over $200 million from big investors like Intel and
Wow.
others. So there will be a lot of big money in this, and bigger money than Wizard of the Coast and Paizo and stuff. So
I
they will
bet.
probably, they might license their stuff, or they might simply invent
Oh,
something. But I'm I'm definite that fantasy is coming to this. Sci-fi
cool.
comes first, but fantasy will definitely come. But so technically, we start having, and then you put in things like advanced artificial intelligence and a whole bunch of stuff. And yes, there is now things happening on that side that we haven't seen before, and I think it we can have some pretty awesome gaming in the not too distant future, so to speak.
Well, I hope so.
Yep. But
Because
that
if
was
I'm,
that was my tangent. So yep.
oh, no, I was going to say if I'm still playing D&D from the nursing home, I want like the full
Hmm.
VR
Yep, that's what
experience.
I'm hoping for too.
Yeah,
When I'm bedridden, 85 years old, I
yeah.
can sit there and wander around in the Flannies, and I can go to Waterdeep, and I can experience the
Hmm.
plains, and fight Gitsurai or Githyanki and all sorts
Mike's
of cool
got
stuff. Yep.
it.
Yep, the cooperative MMO world building. Yes, it's coming. It's definitely coming. And fantasy is not the first take on it, but it's coming because now the tools are coming on a wide front, so to speak. And there's several others. So the tools are coming one after the other. The terrain tools, so you can make terrain that looks fantastic, large scale, whole planet is coming. Artificial intelligence, so you can have smart monsters that actually act and NPCs and stuff is coming. The networking technology, so you can have tens of thousands of gamers in one spot walking around interacting, that's coming. And computer graphics that look so good that it's from a Hollywood movie, also coming. And put all these tools together, and then you have things like 5G. You have visual tools like augmented reality, virtual reality, and all these things come together now, and in a way that I think is going to be awesome. So my guess is that soon you will have a whole range going from old tabletop where you play rolling a dice and use your pencils and sit around like the old school D&D to World of Warcraft. These will not be, there will be a whole range of games in between. So they will be much more blurred what is a tabletop and what is a computer game. Because I think you when you start playing on, as soon as you take these virtual tabletops like Roll20 and D20 Pro, Fantasy Grounds and so on, once they become 3D and start using game engines, then you've taken one serious step. So you can introduce more of the artificial intelligence when they get smart enough. So the DM doesn't need to use all the voices and stuff. So some of the characters can basically play it themselves. You can have other people coming in playing, and all of a sudden the gap will be there. There will be a whole bunch of, you go from I want to play it the old version, the old way, and no nothing new. People will still do that, and then there will be the ones playing, they want no game master, they just want all the things just happening around them and they can just walk around, and there will be a whole range in between. So yeah.
Well,
Yep.
that's an amazing vision of the future.
Yep, but all the tools are
I've
there,
heard
you
some
just need
more,
to yep.
but yeah,
Mhm.
um,
But GaryCon is a very analog convention in
yeah,
for a lot of good reasons. The most advanced thing I saw was the a TV presenting some cool stuff, and there was some in the exhibit hall. There was one that is I forgot what they're called, but they have a computer tool for if you play around a game table, not a virtual tabletop, but a tabletop that you actually use if you're a bunch of people sitting around a table and you have a TV or a projector. You use that tool to so as a digital game map,
Hmm.
so to speak, that you put your characters and stuff on. So they were there, and I didn't get a chance to talk to them. They
Most
were
of the
only there Friday.
vendors there were definitely geared towards the old school stuff. A lot
Yes.
of
Yep.
dice,
Mm-hmm.
terrain,
Yep. Exactly. A
uh,
lot of old, like, and
accessories.
Alan's Black Blade Publishing were there, and Joe Block were there. They had a lot of old modules, and they had some old hex paper and cool stuff that a lot
You
of
go,
yeah, a lot of stuff that if a gamer came back from 1985 or 1990, they would have recognized half of what it was in the exhibit hall right away as like, yes, that's what we game with. And
yeah, Guntaka, a video game cannot approach the sandbox openness
mhm.
of the mind. It never will. They can try their best, but it won't.
Yeah, and I agree because but in the future, what I think is that now you have one camp here and then you have one camp and there's nothing in between. I think in the future there
Oh,
will be a whole range so you can
okay.
any flavor you want to. If you want to play the old school, I'm using dice and pencils and paper, you do that, and then you have the pure no DM, just play computer games. But now they're World of Warcraft and they're old schoolers and they're hardly nothing in between. I think that in between will fill up with a lot of people that will play a little bit more computerized and a little bit less old school, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that I
Well,
think is where we will see a whole
the
bunch of
internet is
development.
a not a nice place, and there's bound to be a lot of people who will ruin it, though.
Oh yes, yeah, that's the thing. But you have to. That's the yep. That will be the hard part. Yep, definitely.
Mhm.
Yep. Hmm.
So did we miss anything on Gary Con? I know I was there a short while, but I feel
Uh,
like I'm missing out on stuff.
Yeah, we it's a lot of people sit in the tables in the corridors and babble and there's impromptu games going on all over the place. They have this wonderful fireplace near the bar and in the like the near the lobby, and people just come in and they take a
Oh,
table and start playing, and so it's a whole bunch of wonderful things that way that is kind of cool. And people just go around and socialize a lot at GaryCon. It's not anywhere near as stressful as PaizoCon and GaryCon have very much that. They're different crowd in many ways, but they're both very laid back cons where you can sit around, chat, and you get. Gen Con is just hectic as hell, but GaryCon and PaizoCon both kind
yeah.
of laid back, great atmosphere, and you can have a lot of fun and sit and discuss with people all the intricacies of a certain module or a game system or how you put your how much sandbox, how much module you're going to play, or orcs with that looks like pigs, are they correct or not? You can whatever any you can have all sorts of cool conversations about that, or game settings, meaning what's the TSR take on this, or the box sets and stuff, and collectors and stuff can show off their wares and stuff. I didn't go to the auction. There, I think there were an auction
Oh,
at
there was an
GaryCon.
auction, huh?
I'm not
I,
sure. I think there was an auction. I'm not sure. That's a big thing at Gen Con, and I thought they had one. So,
I've
yep.
sat to those before.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's building. It's getting bigger.
Yeah.
There was they had a swag bag there. Did
Yeah.
you? What badge did you get?
No, I didn't even get my. I didn't. I and now realize now I'm an idiot. I didn't even go and got it. So I got my badge, and then you were supposed to go in another queue, I guess, and get your swag bag, and I forgot about the whole thing, so I didn't get one. So that's yeah.
Because
So
there
so
was a mouse pad that was a map of Salt Marsh,
that's where they got that one from.
right?
Okay, because I saw a
And
couple of them. I was like, where did you get that? The book is
and then
barely
there was
out.
like a moleskin notebook, with the strap that goes around it,
Yeah.
and it had a symbol of Thurisdan on it.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
Damn, I
So
missed
there's
my
some collector
swag.
items there.
Fuck, I spent like what was
Yeah.
it, 60 or 80 bucks for my silver badge, and I didn't even remember
This might
to.
have been a gold badge
Oh,
thing
that might
though.
have been, yeah, because I only got the silver. There's no.
I ain't saying I would never pay that much for that, but
No, it's more like you support the convention, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the reason. And then there
at one
might be
point,
some events and stuff you can go to that no one else can go to. Yeah.
right? Yeah, Gen Con does that with that VIP thing of
Mm-hmm.
theirs
Yeah,
or
the
VIG.
VIG
Yeah,
things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and it's just like everyone had it, and it was if everyone has VIG, no one's VIG. I say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
used to go to Gen Con as press. I was
Mm-hmm.
representing Cannon Fire or
Yeah.
my or Gamers Table podcast that I'm on, and uh, we would try to get in early by being media.
Yeah.
But then they combined us with all them VIG people, and it was just like, well, sheesh,
Yeah, I've gone the first time I was at Gen Con.
elected.
I was a regular attendee and regular badge holder. But the last 4 years, I think it is now. Yeah, 4 years I've been had as an exhibitor. So
See, that must be better access, I would
oh yeah,
imagine.
you get in early and you can wander around everywhere. So no one will ask
Yeah.
question. What the hell are you doing here? So you can just wander around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing. So yeah. But oh, we have. Let's see. There was one. Yeah, a good. Blake Ryan Batman had a wonderful idea that we should make a computer mouse that looks like a bullet, a land shark, and I think that would be an
Yeah,
awesome idea. Yep. Hmm.
yeah, that makes sense. Uh, all the rooms booked at the Grand Geneva for next year. Yeah, Goon.
I think
Gary
they.
Con stuff went on sale yesterday,
Yeah, and
right?
maybe they're already gone then. Yeah.
Which is totally different from Gen Con, where they have that specific day, later on in the year too.
Yeah, they have, and they
So,
batch them out. I think you get like, if you sign up for it, you get like a slot where you have to go on and book your room or something like that. I don't know how that works because I've never been in there, but it's this kind of huge lottery thingy. And how have you got your room? And
I went on there on yesterday and booked one. Just
yeah,
screw it, going to get one now in case they sold out, which
mm-hmm,
I guess they did.
yeah,
But it was I've never tried to get one on the Gen Con block before because that's just crazy hard. I've always been lucky to get it my own.
yeah. So now I have to ask: are they expensive at the resort, the
Uh,
Grand Geneva? Are they way more expensive than the surrounding hotels?
the Gary Con block for the resort, and this is not attached to the convention. This is the one that's
Oh,
little
the one that is
further
like
up the
half a
road.
mile down the road.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
too far away.
yeah.
Same distance as the airfield.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that one was, I think, 188 a night after the
Yeah,
Gary Con discount.
yeah,
So I'm like,
yeah. So
ugh,
they yeah. So it's probably about 100 and yeah, like $200 a night or something like
that's
that.
half of a Gen Con room.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's I had been staying in a hotel in Illinois for half of that price, so
yeah,
I'm planning on spending twice as much next year to
yeah.
stay
And
for
I've yeah, I've stayed down in Lake Geneva both last year and this year. So it cost like 130, $140 or something like that per night.
Hmm.
Oh, 100 and okay, yeah, that's cheap. 105 a
Uh,
night. That's what we paid roughly. Yep.
so Guntaka, you're from Wisconsin? Is that what you're saying?
An hour and a half
And,
wait. Yep. Mm-hmm.
and yeah, there was Greyhawk Gaming going on.
Oh yes.
Carlos was
Yep.
running most
Mm-hmm.
of it.
Oh yeah. And I think Carlos ran every night, ran games. So yep.
Suburbs of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. That's almost Lake Geneva. I guess it's just outside of the suburb area, so it's
I
not.
was coming up from Southern Illinois, and it
Mm-hmm.
took us 5 hours to get there.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
But GaryCon is, if you're interested in Greyhawk, I think it's
Rock
number
Crawl.
one of conventions to go to, definitely. But where a lot of the things kind of circles around, centered around the stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Need to go next year, Goon.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
not sure.
Amanda and Carlos and
Yeah.
us will take
Yeah,
care of
I
you.
always get like after conventions, I always get like now I need to be home working. So when people say now you have to go in and book for next year, I'm like, no, I'm not sure because I always feel like I have to have something to show and I always have to kind of yeah, so I always get this kind of now I need to catch up on things. And so that's why I always get like a bit like it's so much fun to go on conventions and I go on vacation and I don't work properly. So I always get like bad conscience for that. So that's why I don't want to go. And I'm already booked on what is it, like 3 or 4 conventions this year, 4 maybe 5. So I always feel like oh. So yeah. I don't know how
Uh,
do they have an age limit? How do you have to be a certain
no, there
age to
were
be?
kids there.
Oh yeah,
I
I saw some kids around. So
uh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now, whether or not I do believe they probably have to have badges at a certain age.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
But
the
I
nice thing about GaryCon is you can still show up on the day of and buy badges there. They're not gonna that place is not gonna sell out of badges like Gen Con.
yeah. But they didn't have any dedicated kids activities from what I saw.
Um,
Not
uh,
like Gen Con has a whole bunch of things for kids to do specifically. Yeah,
good. No, yeah, I don't know much about that end, but
yeah, I don't have any kids, but at Gen Con I've seen they have all these activities. They have a whole kids area that was been
oh
in
yeah,
Luca's
oh
old
yeah,
stadium for 2 years. They have all sorts of buffer weapons when small kids batter each other
oh,
to
that,
oblivion,
yeah.
to pulp. That was some of the most fun I've saw at Gen Con last year. That was awesome. That's
If
something for
Gary
nothing.
Con had a foam weapon fighting room, there'd be a lot of people going to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
So
Oh,
any other cool takeaways from GaryCon? I was thinking, yeah, I had Darlene and talking to her was great, and Carlos game and the seminars and stuff. So yeah, it's been
if you want to meet, like we already mentioned 100 times, if you want
hmm
to meet artists and authors,
yeah,
this is the time to go to. Bring
yes,
your stuff with you to get signed.
yep, yeah,
Uh,
definitely. It's by far the yep, it's the one to go
yeah,
to. And Wizard of the Coast have a decent. They were Shelley Noble, Greg Tito,
yeah,
and
that
Mike
is
Merles
weird.
were there, and probably a couple of other ones that I forgot the name. Chris Lindsay, whatever I think the name. Yeah, that Brian knew he was there,
Um,
and then
was
yeah.
Critical Role there
Uh,
on Saturday?
Then yeah, because they had a streaming room now that they used for
Yeah.
various to stream stuff. So that's something that's starting to be popular at
Yeah, and I
most
want to
conventions.
call BS on that, by the way, the
Okay.
streaming. So remember when we inquired about live streaming our seminar
Yeah.
there? And I don't know what the answer was, but it was basically, no, we can't do it. Well, there was a guy who was doing the hide
Mm-hmm.
maps
Oh yeah, the Kfir Mendel. Yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was on Twitch live the entire con
Yes. Mm-hmm. In
streaming.
from his
And then
booth.
they
Yep.
had a streaming room there
Yep.
that people were doing the
Mm-hmm.
podcast or something.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm calling BS on that. We
Yeah.
could have live streamed
Oh yeah,
our
yeah, exactly. There
seminar.
seems like there was a bunch of streaming activities going on, including an official streaming room set up as a TV studio
Yeah,
with cameras and the whole shebang. So,
yeah,
yep. No, no, I didn't. Gontaka, that was a good question. More news on the D&D movie? No,
no.
more than I heard speculations on various actors that people wanted to see in the movie, but I didn't hear any rumors, real rumors about something going on with the movie or anything that way. Nope, nothing.
Yes, it is easier to ask for forgiveness.
Oh yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And I don't think if we had streamed it, I don't think anyone would have noticed it. But well, they had these crew that filmed it for us, that filmed
Oh
it.
yeah,
This, yeah,
yeah. I
and
was under the impression they said they couldn't, their internet couldn't handle it.
yeah.
And then when I'm walking around there, that's all I see is people walking around with cameras
hmm
and streaming.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
wait a
So there were
second.
all sorts of stuff. So, but streaming, some of them, I know that Kfir Mendel from he streamed live on Twitch, but
Yeah,
some of the other ones might have recorded and then uploaded it to YouTube or stuff. So I'm
yeah.
not. Some of the ones that appear to be streaming might not have been live streaming. They might have just recorded it and then broadcasted it or
Yeah,
something.
I
So
know. When I went home, I actually watched his. live stream
Mm-hmm.
on like Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember what day
Okay.
that
Yeah.
was. I was watching Gary Con from the comfort of my home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's an interesting because like 4 years ago you never saw any of that. Now when you go to a big convention, every other booth at PAX or Gen Con has a streaming studio built into it.
yeah.
So the people, the company, they use it as a way of talking to customers, their designers, and a whole bunch of stuff, and then they're doing it. So I guess in order to boost fan creation and fandom, we should do more of it live too, so we can have a and that's something that will happen at Gen Con. Shane, who's behind the Greyhawk channel here, he's having a whole Airbnb, and we need to get him on, and I'll talk to him. So we
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we if we can't do a live show,
Wednesday.
we will do a recorded show with Shane, so we can talk a little bit about what's going on for Gen Con and stuff. There will be some stuff.
Promote his
Yep, yep, there will be some fun stuff.
B&B.
And
Yeah.
so now I'm thinking if we did some cool things for GaryCon, we should do some cool things for Gen Con too. So that was one of the other takeaway, the Earth Journal. And hang on a second here, I'll see if I can get the.
Mine are out of reach.
I have mine here. I'm going to get it. I think it's in here. No, it is not. It's in. Where the hell did I put it? Oh, sorry. Maybe we shouldn't. I shouldn't use
Drop the
language like
ball.
that on the show. But it's
Uh-huh.
somewhere. I put it somewhere. Oh, it's here.
There we go.
Yep. And here we go. So I got. Here is the Worth Journal, and so yeah, it's the Worth Journal. And now my picture froze for a little bit here.
Of
Oh,
course.
there it comes. Yeah, of course I'm showing something, and so yeah, and here is Brian Blumklotz's handout, and actually my copy of my handout, I showed it earlier, had actually disappeared behind a shelf, so I need to see if I can fish it out. But here is this handout was really cool, and here is your handout.
Ooh.
The all map and a bunch of cool text and stuff, and you really made it look like part of old school stuff here. So
Yeah.
it's kind of awesome with a map of all. So I need to make sure I save this one for future reference. And then there's a whole bunch of cool stuff in here. So this is one of the a lot of people, they really love this one. So yeah, so it's kind of a lot of good work, and Christoph and Alan and everyone else who participated in doing this is kind of really
A lot
cool.
of
Yep.
contributions.
Yep,
Yeah.
and there's a distance map down here too.
Goon, that's going to be available soon on Greyhawk
Yeah,
Online.
if it's not available yet, it will be available very soon. So yep. And
Is
my
that the distance chart?
yep, it's a distance chart. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So it's yep. So it's kind of, and it's kind of cool. Greyhawk to Divers is 17.73 miles. So now we know.
Links don't work on here, Amanda. We don't have permissions, or at least the viewers don't have permissions
Oh,
to
it's
post.
printed in reverse. That's okay. So I need to hang on a second. We can probably fix that. We'll see here if we can.
It's printed in reverse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not printed in reverse, but it's probably. Hang on a second here. Webcam controller. So what we can webcam options. We can advanced settings, and we can probably. If I do this, ta-da!
Oh, how'd you do that?
I have a control. Yeah. So now I know. So I can I save this. So now it will hopefully be correct here. So
Hmm.
I'll keep that up and keep that. I can keep that down here. So yep. So
Maybe
now
we should always have our stuff reversed. So next time I
yeah.
show
So
off
so yeah.
the
So
book.
because when you look at it yourself, when you see yourself in reverse, it looks kind of good. But yeah, because you see it like you used to look at yourself in a mirror. So that's when you see it. But so this is yeah. So now it's actually not reverse. So now I can yeah show it. So it's Christoph made some awesome drawings and stuff on top, and he did the design of the logo and stuff like that. And then it's my map and stuff in the background, and yeah, and a whole bunch of stuff. And then we have people who were involved and stuff at the back and stuff. So it's yeah, it's kind of a cool little thing here. Is that is some of the best printed stuff in Greyhawk in the past 10 years. Yeah,
Yeah, it's easy. So.
yeah. So it's kind of cool. So and I also have the a copy that I won for being the very important gamer at the or very best gamer or whatever of the Marquesa. Thy name is evil of Carlos. So thank you so much, Carlos. I got that as a trophy for my druidic kind of efforts in the game. So that was so much fun. I haven't opened it yet. It's still mint condition, and I'll keep it in mint condition for a while. So yep. So that's the yep. And
Let's see. We got any other things you pick up from the con? I don't know
uh,
if I got a whole lot. Now I'm thinking about it. I
no,
got.
I walked around in the exhibit hall, which were a little bit more elaborate than last year. They had now last year it was one exhibit hall, and then there was what they call the annex, one little corridor with that was few artists that Darlene were in there. Last year there were Kobold Press were there, and a few others kind of cramped in on the other side of things. But now they actually had the exhibit hall, they had the whole annex, and that were for other gaming publishers and stuff, and then they had artist row that was a second corridor just with artists. So there was a little bit more than last year. So it was not that it was kind of a little bit more interesting, but there were a few kind of holes in the exhibit hall that weren't filled that much to the brim, so to speak. But it was
Yeah.
that, but there was some good ones too. Lot of there was the Frog God games, Kobold games, and the Castle and Crusade crew, Hackmaster, Black Blade Publishing. Um, and yeah, and then there were some artists in there too that sold. One sculptor, he makes all sort of cute little dragon models and stuff like that. He was in there too, and Joe Block was in there with the I forgot his game company. What was it called?
ERW.
BRW or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was there too. Had a whole bunch of modules and stuff like that in there. So and Kobold Press had a good presence. So it's kind of it is not, it's like 10% of Gen Con, so might not be the best con if you want to go and buy stuff because they don't have
Yeah.
that much variety. But if you're
You gotta.
interested in OSR stuff, then there is a good selection of it. So yeah, so they cater for the market, so to speak, for the target group. But if you want to hang out with cool people, old designers from back then, and play OSR and stuff, then it's the convention to go to, and meet a lot of other gamers and babble with them, then it's the game.
Jason bought a something from Darlene that I thought was great. She had these prints that she did in calligraphy
Hmm.
way back in the 80s,
Yes. Hmm.
and did a bunch of different prints. And one of them was a will for your character that you could fill
Yes.
out.
Hmm. Yep,
How
I
about
have one of them. I bought one, got one I last year. That's yeah, that's super super cool. And yep.
but yeah, yeah, I didn't really buy much of the official Gary Con stuff. Like last year I got a shirt and dice.
Hmm.
This year I didn't get
Yep.
anything
Yep.
from that.
So now I need to take a look at the I missed the chat for a little bit here. So let's see
Um,
what we have here.
they were trying to get a link to Fourth Journal and
Oh, okay. Yeah. So hopefully it will be not we can.
any other. Anyone got any questions? Any Greyhawk stuff to talk about? We still got 20 or 30 minutes to left in the
Oh,
show.
the random harlot.
Toilet table.
What's
No,
that?
no,
What's that?
no, no, no,
No, no, no, please. Now you have to do come on here.
no.
Hmm.
No. All
Okay.
right. Uh,
Now I'm
yeah,
getting curious. What's that? What's this?
the,
Oh,
the
okay. It's something in the
there's a
okay.
random table in the back.
Uh-huh.
Random prostitutes.
Oh, okay. So they have a
Yeah. And it's a
wow.
chart you can roll on, and it has everything from the lowest winch all the way up to the courtesans.
Ah, that's wow. That's something that would never fly in today's games. Yeah.
No, probably not.
But that's kind of funny that yeah, that they have that was kind of yeah,
Hmm.
so
That's right.
cool. Yep. I have my old DMG sitting here somewhere. So yep.
uh, those guys. Well, somehow Gary posted a link, or no,
Oh
that's
yeah,
weird.
there's a link. Yep. So now when we kind of covered inside and out GaryCon, I was thinking, what's your plans for the future?
Uh,
What are you going to dig
am I
into after
doing?
this? Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to keep working on my blog.
Yeah.
I'm getting back to finishing my primer stuff. It's kind of unfinished. I'm still working on some regions of Ryok. I did a short description on Iron Gate.
Mm-hmm.
I updated yesterday on there. I still got a lot of just. I'm going through. It's almost like going through the old '83 box set,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm kind of combining old information with Living Greyhawk
Yeah.
Gazette information, and I'm just trying to come up with a quick summary for each country. So if someone new to the setting reads it, they'll be able to get everything they need to know about Iron Gate
That's
in
wonderful.
a
Yep.
paragraph.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh,
That's super, super, super cool.
Other than that, and I'm not doing anything intensive right now. I've been working on these little bitty maps that are in backwards to you guys.
No, but they're so cool. I love those seals on that map.
Yeah, I did one of White Fang Bay, and I
Ooh,
did one
they're
of
awesome.
Lordship of the Isles.
Ooh, so
Okay,
cool. Yeah.
uh, and I don't know if I put that one on the website yet or
No,
not.
I've only seen the one White Fang Bay yet, so that's the only one I've
And
seen. Yeah.
then when I get around to scanning these, last night I did one of the Waste.
Oh.
Okay, so like I said, it's backwards,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll put those up
It's
on
super,
the
super,
blog
super cool.
sometime.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, these are little hex pads that Allen's company Blackblade put out.
Yeah,
They're just postcard size.
exactly the postcard size, so that 5 by 7 or something like
When
that.
does the next comic series start? When I come up with a cool idea that has enough material to last me a few years, maybe I'll start.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, and if it's not intensive for me to work on, uh, it's a lot of things that have to happen there. Oh, okay. Dave.
Cool.
Well, hey, Dave. Dave from Greyhawk Reborn is here. How you doing, man?
Oh, hi. Yeah.
Guerrieri. Uh,
Hi, Dave.
yeah, coming in towards
David.
the end
Yeah,
of the stream.
Guerreri. Yep. Awesome. Yep.
He is doing a lot of good stuff over on the East Coast, and I know
Yep.
I met Dave at Gen Con
Mm-hmm.
several Gen
Yep.
Cons ago.
Yeah, met Gen Con
Yeah.
and PAX Unplugged, and we handed out. He had some awesome little cards and stuff with. Yep,
Yes,
that was handed out at the seminar.
that's right.
Yep. So that
Like
was yep.
they're like maneuvers or like some kind of game
Yeah, there were
benefits.
cool little cards that
Yeah.
was yeah, that was popular and there was a whole
I
bunch
know
of
they
them.
hand
Yep.
those out to their players at the conventions. I sat in on one of their games one time.
hmm So that was really cool. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you kind of slowly getting back into production mode of doing cool things. So yep. I still have my huge Cobalt press thing that I need to spend more time on, but not right now. I need I felt the urge to finish off my 2019 edition to get the layered PSD, so I can kind of use that for new handout maps and a whole bunch of other stuff. So and then I'm
Cool.
and there is now a whole bunch of new tech that I want to get into the Lindor Isles and the Hipmona Land project. So they are cooking a little bit in the background, but also up until summer, until June, I'm very, very busy with other stuff. But then this fall will be what I hope to that then it will be Greyhawk, majority Greyhawk work for like three,
Cool.
4, 5 months of nothing but Greyhawk. That's my plan. So then I want to have a whole bunch of stuff, and I kind of put it that way a little bit deliberately because I wanted to make sure that I had a bunch of new tools that were kind of that I've used and got set up and stuff to do it. And
Nice.
and I'm also happy to say that the my mile marker project turned out really, really well, my tests. So that's coming to future maps that you can actually see every 10 miles and every mile and every 10 miles, and then every 50 miles will be a bigger marker along every road and trail on the whole map, so you can easily quit them. So yeah.
Spine Castle, right?
Yes, exactly. Spine Castle is one of my things that I just love that area around it. So I kind of want to yeah. And it has, yeah, Gontaka, it has some detail, and I was thinking about moving it. That's something I would probably want to do in like 2, maybe 3 years time. I want to start digging in once I have a few areas, like I'm doing Lendor Isles, and then I'm going to do Ratik or however you pronounce it. That's the second area. And the interesting thing is that Len Lakofka is now doing some stuff up there that I can't talk more about, but we'll see. Yep, so we'll see. So but those are the first areas that I've kind of already promised my patrons and all the people in the Flanders Geographical Society. But what to do after that is will be up to my patrons, and something I will ask my patrons. We will start the debate and have that decided by the summer. We have to have the what to do for next year. So there will be 2, maybe 3 projects that needs to be set into uh,
Oh, Gary's throwing out a
oh,
big
this is so cool. Yes, Gary, we need to look into to cool stuff that way that we can tie in together. That will be fantastic if we can make some fan creation stuff and so on. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, Rel
What
Astra
Gary was
is
actually talking
kind
about
of cool. Yep.
is
Mhm. Yep.
Smedger and Malden's article,
Yep. Mhm. Yep.
Maps for the Melcott box set. Sorry, Anna,
Ooh. Yep.
you're booked up for the next
Mm-hmm.
10 years.
Yep, yep, definitely. So we will look into it. There will be there will of course be. I've already heard rumors that some of my patrons will plug it so for me to start working on the Temple of Elemental Evil Null Pomlet area. Of course, that's kind of one that is high on. So we'll see what will end up. But there will probably be room for like 2 areas next year, maybe 3, depending on how well the Ratik will be the first one. But if Lendor Isle and then Ratik, if they really work well, so if Ratik, if everything is set down, so I can kind of just continue to do other areas, and the tools and everything works out well, then I might be able to pull off 2 or 3 areas per year going forward, and maybe even 4 in the future. And it depends on how many patrons I
Yeah.
get. But if the patrons increase a little bit more, so I can at least devote half of my time on Greyhawk, then I might be able to pull off in 4 or 5 projects areas per year, 4 or 5 realms. Maybe not as large as Niron might be, and Keoland and Furyundi. They might be 2 in the scope of that, but it might be possible to make a whole bunch of terrain that way. That will be really cool. And then we have to kind of dig in deeper and do like city mapping and stuff like that, and underdark mapping. And there's a whole bunch of new fields that will be tricky because we have to find a style, what's useful, how the presentation is supposed to be, and so on and so forth. So each of these new projects will have to be kind of tested out, and first my patrons have to decide, oh, that looks like crap, that looks more promising, and so on and so
Hmm.
forth. So that will be it will be and some of these areas are kind of a little bit contentious because they're different. Like the city of Greyhawk is an obvious one because there are like 2 different versions out there, and so that means that do we should I go for two different version of the city, so they can both be kind of. And I have some changes that I made in my campaign that are not detailed enough. They don't visible on my campaign map. But I actually made a change, so it's not a river
Oh,
flowing in. So it's actually a kind of, you can actually take ships from Nirdiv into the city of Greyhawk, and it's kind of
huh,
a bay that way, and then the river starts flowing south from there,
huh.
basically. So yeah, so some, because I thought it was completely illogical to have the big M in the middle of a river, because it would be much smarter to have it with access to near div, because I don't think
Right.
anyone would be dumb enough to build a city 30 miles down the river when you have the inland sea up there with all the possibility. For
Sure.
me, it's like ridiculous. So I will widen it, so instead of it being a 1 mile river or half a mile river, it will be like a bay that is slowly, it's like a very narrow bay sticking in there between the cliffs. And then and in my campaign, it's a man-made thing. The Erie and the river were the ones flowing past a few miles south of it, and then someone dug that channel is kind of man-made between the city of Greyhawk and down south, so to speak. So Slinton is basically a man-made river, and
I'll be.
yeah, so that's how I solved the fact that the city is actually there. It grew not only because there were treasure in the under the castle of Greyhawk, because it's kind of an illogical place for the city to be if there is not a strategic kind of, because then it's perfectly naturally placed for trade and for all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So that's and that's also go around the thing that there is one natural outlet for Nirdiv in the Artunsama. Hang on a second here.
Okay.
We can show some mappy stuff here. And
Oh, while you're doing that,
yeah.
asked about John's Dragon Plus article. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
we talked about
Mm-hmm.
that last week.
Yeah.
The Dragon Plus article.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you haven't looked that up online yet, go
Oh, it's great.
to
Yep.
Wizards of the Coast and download the latest Dragon Plus
Yep.
issue. There's a really good article on Greyhawk in there,
Mm-hmm.
how they implement it to fifth edition, or talks about the old stuff, and also has some stuff from Luke Gygax on there.
Yep. Yeah. So now going back to my little kind of tangent on the city of Greyhawk and the rivers. So the natural outflow from Nirduv, as I see it, is the Nesser River that goes here in
Uh,
the east. That's, to me, is that, and then it goes down to Nat Mars, and then it comes out at Nessermouth. To me, that's kind of the natural outlet for Nirduv. And then the way I saw it is that the there is a natural river. So this is a natural river here, and then you have some natural rivers here and some small ones coming out here. So what someone, I kind of widened this just a little bit. So they basically dug a channel, and it was kind of natural to build. This is not a river that flows that much, so you can actually build a, so it will
hmm.
basically be, you can sail in and out here, and then you can sail down here, and it becomes a river. So Nirdiv is basically the same level as the ocean. It's just the inflow, and then it flows out, so to speak. So if you
Huh.
just put the if you turn it into a canal, it would not, the water would not disappear, because there's not that much of a difference. So you don't need locks or anything that way. So
All
I'm
right.
kind of, and there's some gnomish influence and some other technicalities, and maybe a little bit of magic to build some of the to dig it out and stuff, and that way you can kind of have it a natural. So this is an area, is a smart place to put a city, that you can have a connection to both Nirdiv and the ocean that way. That
Near Div
was
Dragon.
kind of my take and my idea of why it would be such an awesome way to put a city there, because you can basically be in easy contact with the whole of the Flanese better than hardly any other place, because you can have seagoing traffic and near div traffic basically coming to that port.
Oh,
Yeah. So that was my idea of doing it, so to speak. So that's how I do it, because the Sagug, he built a castle across the other side of the Salintan, and he
Right.
probably has a lot of basements and stuff. But the dungeons of Greyhawks and the doesn't is not that prominent of a story. He probably imprisoned a whole bunch of stuff, and he was a mad archmage who had a lot of experiments and stuff. But that's basically what it is. To me, it's not the in my campaign. It's not the ground to build one of the biggest cities in the whole continent is not because there happened to be a dungeon next door. It's simply because it's a damn good place to actually have a city. So I had to kind of come up with a good backstory why the Greyhawk city of Greyhawk was so popular, and it was simply because you had got the protection from Great Kingdom, and you had a location that was strategically, especially for trade, probably one of the best in the subcontinent, because you can reach the whole of a lot of the central Flannies through near Div, and you can, using Hardby and out in Holy Bay,
Funds.
you can reach the rest of the world basically. And so that was my idea, that why the city of Greyhawk became this kind of cool cosmopolitan place, a bit like the Venice or Florence, or especially like Venice or something back in the day, or Alexandria along the Middle East or something like that. It's one of these cool places that have trade from near and far, and go everywhere, so to speak. So yep. Yep.
Well, you
Mm-hmm. Yep.
definitely given that area more thought than I ever have.
Well, things like that is something I always try to think about. And
Alden's thought a lot about it.
yeah, so I kind of did that, and now it's tying into bit to my upcoming Shieldlands campaign too, because
Oh, well, that
yeah,
makes sense.
yep.
Yeah.
So that's when I had the ideas, but now I'm starting to flesh it out a bit. So the merchant houses and stuff in Greyhawk are important because they are the ones having tentacles out for doing investments and trade and stuff. And especially now, I guess after my campaign, after the war and all that is over, now there's new possibilities. There's new age coming, and it's kind of with new possibilities, and also that you have the kind of the rivalry between Divers and Greyhawk is a bit like between Florence and Milan and Venice and others, these merchant cities in Italy back in the Renaissance and stuff.
Hmm.
So it's a bit like that. It's like the different merchant houses and all sorts of stuff. So, and I'm also watching the series the series the Medici on Netflix at the moment, which is
Ryan, I hadn't heard about that.
yeah, it's an awesome. If you want to have city intrigue, it's a perfect series to kind of get inspiration. If you want to run city politics based campaigns, I can really recommend it. It's super
Dang.
cool. Yep. So that was another of I do a lot of tangents tonight, but it's that
Yeah,
was one
well,
of
you
the.
got a lot of ideas and
Yep.
you actually follow through on your ideas, which is very cool because then, everyone can actually see what you're talking about.
Yeah, so the mappy thing, it will be I will flesh out the Shieldlands and Empire of Ayus quite a lot. So that's my as soon as I got the yeah, divers have been in a little bit of a rut because they don't have the international connections as well. If I go back to the map here, so if we s- look at the situation for divers, so divers have very good connections westward and northwards. They have up the Artonsamai and oh sorry the Velverdiva and to Furiundi and stuff. But a lot of that that can happen through Willip and other areas can trade directly too. So Greyhawk has this kind of bridge between the rest of the world and near Div that is kind of really cool, because the Nesser River is kind of long and convoluted, and you have the Nat Marsh and stuff. So it's probably not that it's much easier. You can kind of cut off a couple of 100 miles by just going through here, and also the Salintan Valley is also civilized, well garrisoned and patrolled and all that, so to speak. So it's probably much less risky to send trade up and down the Salintan than it is up and down the Nesser, where you can get stuck somewhere and you have to go through a forest with all sorts of crap. And the Nat Marsh is probably not the healthiest place. You might even get lost in this myriad of stuff. So yeah, and yeah, the divers were probably a big city and big and powerful before Greyhawk even. But then it's kind of, yeah, so it's that old city that was the one of the imperial capitals, a bit like
Yep.
Delhi in India or something like that back in the British Empire or something. It's one of these. Yep, yep. So it's kind of
Uh,
cool. And now they have a, yeah, a lot of faded splendor. Yep, that's probably very true.
Faded Splendor.
Yep. Yep. So that's the.
Well, I'm about at the end of my chain here.
Yep.
Uh,
I've gone on so many tangents today, so I think that was kind
well,
of the. Yep.
we got the Gary Con thing covered, and now
Mhm.
we're kind
Yep.
of going to just
Yep.
random topics.
Yep.
Next week, we'll have to try to think of a new topic,
Yep.
get started
Yeah,
on.
we have something on the list. We probably have to pick something on the list soon,
Yeah.
and then send out a little advertising thing like we usually do. And yep. Then we're
But
roughly
from
half.
there, we'll talk about anything.
Yep, and then we're halfway through our season or something, and then we might take a little bit of a summer break, and then we definitely need to come back again and
We got to
both.
get some guests on here too.
Yep, we have a couple of guests that we need to get on, and we have a couple of people in the chat right now that we want to have as guests here too. So yep.
All right.
Yep, definitely. Yep. We need to talk both about Living Greyhawk campaign and with some of the experts, and we need to talk about the Greyhawk Reborn campaign too. Definitely. Yep,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
because those are some of the biggest events in the Greyhawk community. So yep. Okay, that was our.
Thanks for everyone for coming. We
Yeah.
had a good turnout here,
Yep.
and
Definitely.
we got. Um, I expect everyone to be here again next week
Yeah. Yep.
to pitch their ideas and
Yep.
comments and heckle us.
Yep. Okay, thank you so much. This has been the fifth episode of the second season of Legends and Lore. So take care, everyone, and we will be back next week.
Bye.
Bye.